Charles Barkley's story is one of defiance, charisma, and undeniable greatness. From the very beginning, his journey in basketball never quite fit the mold of convention. He wasn't built like the prototypical power forward of his era, and he certainly didn't move through life quietly or cautiously. Yet what made him different was exactly what made him unforgettable. To this day, Barkley stands as one of the most colorful and influential figures in basketball history. A Hall of Famer whose impact extends far beyond points, rebounds, and highlights. His legacy is as much about authenticity, wit, and cultural relevance as it is about the numbers he put up on the hardwood. Born in Leeds, Alabama, in 1963, Charles Barkley grew up in a world where basketball was both a way out and a source of joy. His early years were marked by the resilience that would define his personality throughout his career. Coming from humble beginnings, Barkley learned to fight for everything he wanted. He wasn't considered a can't-miss prospect during his high school days. In fact, he was often overlooked, his stocky build not resembling the lean, polished athletes most recruiters coveted. But Barkley had something more important. He had determination, a natural instinct for the game, and an energy that couldn't be ignored. Those who underestimated him quickly discovered that under the surface of his unorthodox frame was a fierce competitor with a motor that never quit. When he went on to play at Auburn University, Barkley's reputation as the Round Mound of Rebound began to take shape. He wasn't tall for his position, standing at 6 feet 4 inches and a half, which was undersized for a power forward in an era dominated by giants. But Barkley had a way of making up for it. He combined a rare explosiveness with sheer willpower, bullying bigger opponents for rebounds and using his quickness to attack the basket. His game wasn't about finesse as much as it was about overwhelming force, matched with surprising agility for a man his size. At Auburn, Barkley not only established himself as a dominant player, but also showed flashes of the larger-than-life personality that would later captivate millions. Fans loved his energy, his humor, and his unapologetic nature. He was impossible to ignore. By the time the 1984 NBA draft came around, Barkley was ready to make the leap into the pros, joining a class that remains one of the most legendary in basketball history. That draft saw Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan, and John Stockton enter the league alongside Barkley. Selected 5th overall by the Philadelphia 76ers, Barkley walked into a locker room filled with star power, including legends like Julius Erving and Moses Malone. This was the perfect environment for a young Barkley to grow. Malone, in particular, took him under his wing and helped refine his work ethic, teaching him the discipline it would take to survive in the NBA. Barkley wasted little time making an impact in Philadelphia. His rebounding prowess and physical play instantly made him a fan favorite, and his confidence never wavered. He quickly grew into the role of the team's leader, especially as the stars of the previous generation began to fade out. By the late 1980s, Barkley was the face of the 76ers, delivering all-star appearances, highlight reels, and constant entertainment for fans. His unique blend of dominance and flair separated him from his peers. Few players could grab a rebound, push the ball coast to coast, and finish with the authority Barkley did. He was a show unto himself, and Philadelphia adored him for it. Despite his brilliance, team success often eluded Barkley in Philadelphia. The 76ers had strong squads, but the league was stacked with super teams led by the likes of Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and later, Michael Jordan. Barkley could carry a team far, but the mountain to the championship often proved too steep. By 1992, his time in Philadelphia came to an end, and he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, a move that would redefine his career. In Phoenix, Barkley reached his apex as a player. The Suns, built around his energy and skill, quickly became contenders in the Western Conference. Barkley thrived in the desert, earning the league's Most Valuable Player award in 1993, beating out none other than Michael Jordan. That same season, he led the Suns all the way to the NBA Finals, where they faced Jordan's Chicago Bulls in one of the most iconic matchups of the decade. Though the Suns ultimately fell in 6 games, Barkley's performance cemented his reputation as one of the best players of his generation. He averaged a double-double, delivered jaw-dropping plays, and carried himself with the swagger of a man who believed he belonged on the biggest stage. For Phoenix fans, Barkley was everything, a superstar who gave them hope, excitement, and national relevance. Yet, As history often reminds us, championships are not the only measure of greatness. Barkley never captured that elusive NBA title, but his individual dominance was never in doubt. Over his 16-year career, he amassed more than 23,000 points and 12,000 rebounds, becoming one of only a handful of players to reach such milestones. His rebounding numbers were particularly astonishing given his size, a testament to his tenacity and sheer force of will. Barkley could dominate giants like Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon on the glass, not because he was taller, but because he wanted it more. That relentless spirit defined him as much as his numbers did. Off the court, Barkley was just as magnetic. His candid nature made him a lightning rod for attention, both positive and negative. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind, even if it landed him in controversy. From famously declaring, "I am not a role model," in a Nike commercial to his sharp critiques of teammates, opponents, and even himself, Barkley spoke with a raw honesty that was rare among professional athletes. Some criticized him for it, but many admired him for refusing to be anything other than himself. In an age where many players stuck to safe answers, Barkley was refreshing, and he became one of the most recognizable figures in sports because of it. After his playing days ended in 2000, Barkley made a seamless transition into broadcasting, joining the crew of TNT's Inside the NBA. What could have been just another post-career job turned into a second act that solidified his place in sports culture. Alongside Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and later Shaquille O'Neal, Barkley became part of one of the most beloved sports shows ever created. His quick wit, sharp insights, and willingness to say what others wouldn't made him must-watch television. He turned commentary into an art form, blending humor with honesty in a way only he could. Barkley's broadcasting career also expanded his influence beyond basketball. He became a cultural commentator, weighing in on social issues, politics, and life in general with the same frankness that defined his playing days. While not everyone agreed with him, people listened, and his platform allowed him to remain a vital voice in American sports culture long after his retirement from the NBA. Looking back at Barkley's career, one sees more than just a Hall of Fame player. One sees an individual who defied expectations at every turn. He wasn't supposed to dominate as an undersized power forward. He wasn't supposed to become the face of a franchise or an MVP in a league dominated by titans. Yet he did all of that and more. He wasn't supposed to succeed in broadcasting without filtering his thoughts, but he turned into the most beloved voice in basketball commentary. What makes Barkley's legacy so enduring is that he represents the freedom of being unapologetically yourself. In sports and in life, people often feel pressure to conform, to play a role, to say the right thing. Barkley showed the world that being real is more powerful than being perfect. His humor, his flaws, his brilliance, and his authenticity made him relatable even as his talent made him larger than life. Fans didn't just admire Barkley for what he did, they loved him for who he was. For today's generation of athletes and fans, Charles Barkley remains a blueprint of individuality. He teaches that success isn't only about rings or trophies but about leaving a mark that can't be erased. His highlights will live on in NBA history, but his words, his personality, and his presence will live on in the culture of the game. His influence stretches across decades, from the courts of Philadelphia to the broadcasts of TNT, and his impact will continue to shape basketball for generations to come. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of Charles Barkley, a man who played with passion, spoke with honesty, and lived without compromise. If you enjoyed this story of one of basketball's most colorful legends, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who love the game, and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures who shaped sports history. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite Charles Barkley moment, on or off the court? Let us know in the comments below as we continue celebrating the voices and legends who define the game.